Hey, I'm Orlando Jones, and I just want you to know that the Moana Nui podcast will be starting soon. Stay tuned, yo.
I'm Veronica Taylor, and from myself and Ash Ketchum, I just want to say, Moana Nui, I choose you!
What is up, everybody? My name is Kyle, and today we are here to talk about two excellent movies, The Book of Clarence and American Fiction. Almost forgot, blanked out there. So we're here to discuss those two wonderful movies. So before we get started, here to introduce our wonderful panel for tonight. I got my man James. We have Teresa. And last but not least, we have Joy. All right, so let's see. So first and foremost, before seeing these movies, had anybody heard about the Book of Clarence or American Fiction? Well, let's just start with American Fiction first. Had anybody heard of American Fiction prior to seeing the movie?
I had heard of it. I didn't realize I had, because it was also based on a book. And so the book is not the same title. And
Right.
I forget now what it was, but I remember when they said it was based off of this book, I was like, oh, I remember when that book came out.
Right.
So I vaguely remember, I was familiar with the idea before the movie came out, but yeah, that's about it.
I was not aware of the book before it came out. I knew it was based on a book. I found the subject matter to be intriguing enough to definitely go give it a watch, but I have not read the book. I'm now intrigued to find the book and read it, though.
Yeah, yeah, same here.
Erasure. Yeah, that's the name of the book, Erasure.
Erasure. Okay.
I wasn't aware of the book, but I must have heard of the movie because I saw it at Screen Unseen, an AMC Screen Unseen. And when it, I figured out that that's what the movie was, I was happy. So I must have had some idea about it before.
Okay. So I know I was actually in an Insecure discussion group on Facebook, and anytime that you get the stars of that show that go to do different projects, everybody like hypes up that project, like, oh, check this out. So I found out Issa Rae was going to be in this movie. I was like, oh shoot. So I was like, then I saw Jeffrey Wright was supposed to star in it, and I'm just like, I love Jeffrey Wright, because Jeffrey Wright he had a movie called OG that was on HBO. Excellent. He's excellent in Westworld, and I mean all the way
Shaft.
Peoples. Yeah.
I still know him as in my head. Yeah.
Or Martin Luther King.
Or Martin Luther King. Yeah. And he was in the reboot of the 007 franchise as the American agent. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He stay working.
He does. He definitely does. But I was intrigued off of that. So that definitely piqued my interest. But yeah, was pleasantly surprised by that movie. So as far as the movie, did you have any expectations going into it, or?
No, I mean, I expected great acting because I'm looking at the cast. You got Jeffrey Wright, Issa Rae, Sterling K. Brown, and Tracy Ellis Ross.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In addition, Erica Alexander popped up in there. I didn't even know she was until the movie started. I was like, what? Once again, I feel like she has been typecast as Maxine Shaw her whole life, and now she's leaning into like she's playing a lawyer. Like, whatever, I'm still Maxine Shaw. Like, this is what would happen to Maxine if Living Single was still on the air. She'd be that person. But I felt like I knew the acting would be great because the actors are great. I worried about the script, like, just is it going to be well written? And I couldn't have asked for more. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I would say so. I heard like because I tend to follow a lot of like film festivals as far as like through social media and stuff like that, and I saw that it was highly touted coming out. I think like Toronto Film Festival or one of the early film festivals. It was a highly touted movie, so that's number one. I was just like, okay, pretty excited about that. Like you said, the talent of the movie, like Jeffrey Wright, awesome. So I was like, this guy is. I had hopes that would be good. Did not know it'd be Oscar nomination good. So I was again pleasantly surprised. So yeah, I was expecting like at first I thought it was gonna be more or less like a American Gods. Because when I first heard American Fiction, I'm like, okay, American Gods is very similar to that. So I was like, okay, what are we getting out of that? Like mythology of Black America? Are we getting something similar to that? But what we got was awesome, very very awesome. So yeah,
absolutely, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by the entire film from beginning to end, especially the depth of all the characters and everything they were going through. It's not just the main storyline, but just the secondary storylines of all the characters and their lives was very well done, well written, and yeah, again, the acting top notch, phenomenal.
Yeah,
and see, that's my kind of comedy. Comedy is not in your face. Comedy is not a comedy. I like comedy interwoven into a more serious genre. So that I was very happy with that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like Sterling Brown stole the scene a lot.
Yes, he did. Quite a few scenes.
Yeah. I love that it was like I love the different messages it conveyed throughout the film without having to be too preachy or like beat you over the head with the message. Like I didn't feel like I would have that Keenan Ivory Wayans like message like popping up every once in a while throughout the movie. So I felt like it eased you into a lot of different things. So in that sense, I thought it was a really good movie. It reminded me a lot of Hollywood Shuffle with Robert Townsend.
Yeah. It's in the same vein. Yeah. A movie within a movie type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good. Very, very good movie. So initially, like, do you guys just want to do a full film breakdown as far as going part by part, or
no?
Sure, what? Okay. No.
So all right, so I guess we should go person by person. So James, what were a couple of your favorite things about this movie?
First and foremost, the main storyline in that I know a handful of creatives personally, who I've met through friends or whatever, friends of friends, and I see them at a lot of the conventions I go to, whether it's Dragon Con, MomoCon, any other comic book store signing. So whether they're writers, artists, couple people who dabble in music, the process. Look, the process that the creative has to go through is not an easy thing. So I empathize with a lot of their struggles from time to time. The artists and the writers, primarily though, whenever they're trying to push their own work, the struggles they have to go through to get that just recognized, and problem doesn't begin to describe the struggles they go through, because like hurdles is being nice. They're basically running headfirst into brick walls, just trying to get noticed. And then when they are noticed, depending on the audience, like people of color, yes, we're going to support our own, obviously, but trying to crack over into that non-melanated audience, if you will, and for them to accept something different and nuanced featuring people of color, whereas all they want to see is us in one of three situations: crime, drugs, and the hood. It's like we are more than that, but that's what they're comfortable with. So the fact that this film took that whole thing, and Jeffrey Wright's character was like, I'm tired of doing the same old thing. I don't want to break into that. I write well-written characters, well-developed, well-rounded characters that, color doesn't define them. You can see them as Black, you can see them as white, but they weren't getting recognized. The moment he writes something stereotypical, the white audience eats it up, but he's doing it satirically. But at the same time, it's like that's all the white audience wants to eat up is the stereotypical, you know, where people of color are in situations that they're comfortable with, because they're not comfortable seeing us thrive in situations, you know. And to segue just slightly, I remember when Star Trek Deep Space Nine was first being announced and coming on air, like what's now like over 30 years ago. And the fact that a black man was in the lead and the Star Trek fandom revolted against that. It's like, okay, why does the new commanding officer have to be black? And then the same thing with Voyager. Well, why does the new captain have to be a woman? It's like, why can't you accept change? Or why can't you accept something different? Everything doesn't have to be led by a straight white male. So the fact that being the overall message of the film, just turning their expectations upside down and letting them see how foolish they are as far as what their expectations are of us as people of color and just what they're not used to. That's what I liked about the movie.
Okay. Teresa, I think someone mentioned in the chat, you're getting a little bit of feedback. I was wondering if you can possibly mute your.
Sure.
All right, see if that works.
Okay, if we still hear it. If we still hear it, and it comes and goes, but if we still hear it in a second, then it might be you, Kyle.
Okay, it might be me.
It does seem to have stopped momentarily.
Temporarily, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I'll go next about what I liked about the movie. I like the introspective piece of it, because I think the things that James talked about, it's really easy to look at other people and see what's wrong with them, but to look at yourself and see what's wrong with you. And I like the way, even though Jeffrey Wright is ostensibly the protagonist and the hero, or whatever you want to call him in the movie, he's not always right. He's not even always wanted or liked. Funny side note, the scene between him and Issa Rae where they're reviewing the books that are going to be up for awards and everything. I missed that scene in the movie because I had to go to the bathroom so bad I couldn't go anymore. I ran to the bathroom to pee, and when I came back, I had missed it. And I asked my friend what I missed, and she's like, "Oh, nothing big, nothing major."
Oh,
they lied to you. They lied.
And so I thought about it, I was like, there's no way a scene between him and Issa Rae wasn't that big. So I did manage to go online and find it. And I was like, see, this is everything. And that scene is one of my favorite scenes, even though I missed it in the theater, because she calls him out on his hypocrisy. And she calls him out on his respectability politics, which we don't always want to get into in Black spaces, of where I love the line that she said, if you're looking for potential, the assumption is that what's in front of you is not good enough. And I was like, see, that was him. He was so ready to shit on everybody else about his lofty academic writing, not realizing that, first off, everybody don't want to read that, including Black people. I don't want to read trauma porn all the time, but I don't need to read some existential crisis nonsense either, just because a Black man wrote it and he couldn't find the middle ground. So his satire ended up being funny for one, but he played right into what white people want, but he still wasn't able to reach a Black audience. And I think that's because he felt a little bit disconnected from the larger Black audience, and it's not knowing how to deal with it. He shunned it, and he looked down on everybody else. And my other favorite scene in the movie, even though it is heartbreaking, is when his mother was his mother passing? When she was talking to him, and she was in a lucid state, and she was talking to him about, I understand you've always been a genius. And when she ended with his brother's name. Bruh, that ain't you. You are not the genius in the family.
Yeah.
So I think it made him question how he sees himself. And then I like the movie within the movie at the end.
Yeah, I thought that was really dope. Teresa, do you have any what were your favorite moments about the movie?
Let me preface first off by saying that
It's been a long time since I saw the movie, E- even before it was widely released. Because once again, I saw it as a screen unseen, and so just give me a little grace, if you would.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
What I remember of the movie that I liked was what I mentioned before, with it being a comedy without being one that slaps you in the face.
Yeah.
Um, you know, when you really think about it, in dramatic situations, everyday situations, you're dealing with your family, and it seems like a dramatic situation, but that can be funny most of the time too. You and your people, your relatives. You're making a face, Kyle. Am I still feeding back?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, good. Dealing with your relatives will often lead you to laugh.
Okay.
I know mine will.
Mhm.
Um, but like when he was going in and out of his new character, of the
Yeah.
writer of the book that the people accepted.
Yeah.
I mean, you could just see how uncomfortable he was, and I think he just played it so well, because that
Hmm.
was so not him. But
Mhm.
the white people were just so ready to accept it, because
Yeah.
he's a black person, that's got to be him for
Mhm.
real.
Yeah.
And I think he just played it wonderfully. I think he should have gotten an Oscar for that, but that's another story altogether. Um, but yeah, that is mostly what I liked. Just there's some great actors in there. Sterling K. Brown, once again, like Joyce said, stole the whole
Hmm.
Every
movie.
scene he was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really good.
he was phenomenal. He reminded me of Denzel in, what's the plane movie where he was always drunk but pretended
Flight.
I
like
know
he
the movie you're
wasn't.
talking
Flight.
about when he the
Flight.
plane up
Y-
flight
Yeah,
940, whatever. Yeah.
that one.
Oh,
He reminded me of Denzel in that movie. Of course, except Denzel wasn't necessarily funny, but still just that kind of,
self-destructive.
always,
Mhm.
yeah, the
Hmm.
self-destructiveness, and always kind of under the influence of something, and trying to,
Yeah.
to move through his life without everybody else knowing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love Tracy Ellis Ross. I was shocked with what
Yeah.
happened to her character. I didn't
Yes.
expect that at all.
I didn't
Um,
see it coming at all. Because I mean, I
not
knew
at
that
all.
somebody had died. I just assumed it was mom.
I didn't even
Right.
know anybody was gonna die, but Tracy Ellis Ross was a huge star. You
Yeah.
don't expect her to get killed off in the
Right.
beginning
In
of
the
the movie.
second scene or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, she went out like a horror movie. Like, what? Why is she dead already?
I was like, oh no, not. But
But I knew somebody was going to die because I remember them talking about spreading the ashes on in the one of the trailers. They're spreading the ashes,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
and I never noticed that it was just him and his brother.
In
And
that
that
scene.
she wasn't there until I'm watching the movie. It's like, yeah, this is the movie. This is the scene from the trailer. Wow, I just always assumed that because that the mother is dealing with some dementia issues at
Right.
the beginning of the movie. I assumed that she had transitioned. That would be her. No. And I also want to talk about that. In the small amount of time that Tracy Ellis Ross was on screen, she made a hell of an impact on me because she spoke to the emotional labor, the physical
Yeah.
labor, and the toll, the pressure on the female sibling in most families to take care of the parents.
Mhm.
And I would have to assume that contributed somewhat to her early demise, is the stress of being a
Mm-hmm.
doctor and doing all of
Stress.
that. And both your raggedy ass brothers can't be bothered to come say hi to her, leave it all they're not even helping with the pills because you're a doctor. Oh, I was feeling that. I was feeling that all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely left her off to dry.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
not only was she dealing with being the primary taker for their mother, she was still dealing with the aftermath of divorce.
Right. And did she say she had what was she getting? Was she giving him alimony too? So it's
Yes.
not just the
Paying
mental
him.
burden of that, but the financial burden
Financial
that
burden, yes.
carries. Right. So
and paying the bills at her parents' house and taking care of
right.
homes.
Right. So
Women going through that right now.
yeah, for sure.
Maybe not the alimony, but the rest of it, or dealing with a deadbeat father of children who will not won't even show up to court, let alone pay his child support. So yeah, stress is real.
Yeah.
There's a reason the average body size of a Black woman is 14, because we be carrying cortisol, stress, and stuff. It's not just because we eat cornbread and collard greens. It's because we are stressed out.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
I'm sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize.
No, I honestly love like this is a really good family movie within the movie itself. Just seeing the because again, Joy, you had mentioned he was a disconnection from his people, but literally a disconnection from his literal people, like his family. So having to go back and not and atone for what he had done as far as being absent, and having that thrust upon him like it was thrust upon Tracy Ellis Ross's character. Seeing him adapt to that, seeing him kind of handle all that was very interesting. So I love the sweetness of certain characters, like the woman who took the caretaker of the mother, how she got her happy ending at the end of the movie. I love that. I absolutely love that, because a lot of times those characters are either sidelined to where you don't get much of their story told, or they're put to the side, or there's just a really sad ending. There's no ending for them at all. So I'm glad we got to see a really happy ending for that character, because honestly, she was the sweetest woman in that entire movie. I'm just like, she reminds me so much of like an auntie or a grandmother of some sort.
And she practically was for them. She was
Right.
like,
she definitely was
for the two male characters left after Tracy.
Now let's talk about that. Ungrateful bastards. So if you remember, when they were trying to figure out how to handle the finances, they was about to cut her loose. Like, no, I mean, I know she's been with the family for a while, but I mean, it is what it is. And it turned around when she got married, little drunk in the morning, Sterling K. Brown. Who's one in the family that embraced him and said, "Come on in, you and her."
Yes.
The very one that earlier in the movie they was ready to cut her loose because money. She's the only one that accepted him as he was, and he totally discovered that. There's a lot of levels to this movie.
There really is. Really is.
If she ever knew how they were trying to, how they had planned to just dust her off, set that whole house on fire.
Right?
Taking care of their mom.
Yeah, and Jeffrey Wright's character pretty much not knowing what's going on in his brother's life was just like, like, I get it. Siblings after a certain age, I'm not gonna say you grow apart, but you talk less than you do when you're growing up. Like, hell, I'm in my late 40s. I talk to my sister probably 2 or 3 times a month. I talk to my mom more. So I mean, I talk to my mom at least once a week. But it's the type of thing where it's like, typically, if anything major is happening, my mom would pretty much urge me, talk to your sister, type thing, whatever. Or when was the last time you talked to your sister? Something like that. Like, she'll question whatever when we speak. But yeah, like, I don't speak to my sister as often as I did when, up until I was 18 and I went away to college, because there's the difference of being around that person every single day. But to the extent that Jeffrey Wright and Sterling K. Brown characters were like, literally had no idea what was going on in each other's personal lives. Like, wow, like, you didn't even know your own brother was divorced,
right,
or going through a divorce, because I think he was going through a divorce as well, like or he had initiated a divorce, whatever it was. But like, you knew your sister was divorced because apparently you talk to your sister more than you do your own brother, so you knew what was going on with her up until her passing. But like, because they kind of made it, and I guess that was the monkey wrench, because they made it seem like Sterling K. Brown's character was a sibling who was distant, and then, like you say, come to find out it's Jeffrey Wright who's the distant sibling.
They just had trouble accepting Sterling's life. Like, they didn't want to face it, and that happens in a lot of families of color. I'm not even going to leave it to Black families. A lot of families where the siblings are in their 40s and up struggle with anything other than your standard binary sexuality,
Yeah.
We Gen X was very closeted.
So I will say the one thing that like it may just be because again so this movie to me was you had your drama comedy, but you also had a slight romance aspect to this film. I loved Erica Alexander, her character. She was very sweet, and she was honest. She read him for his filth when he was being an asshole. So
Yep.
I definitely appreciated her honesty. The one thing I will say is, again, like I said, maybe it's just the film nerd in me, like who will watch a romance movie from time to time. But I wish we would have gotten the more what is it, a happier ending between those two, because
He didn't deserve it.
he said he didn't deserve it.
He didn't deserve it. What growth had he really had?
I mean, you're right. You're definitely right. You're definitely right.
I mean, it was his fault. They split, if you will.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna call it a split. That was basically just he basically blew up the relationship.
Yeah.
Because he hated himself. That's all on him. He was never emotionally available in the first place. He liked her until she actually liked the book that he wrote. Then he didn't like her because he judges everybody with a weird, ridiculous, hypocritical measuring stick. How can you like this book I wrote? You know, that was supposed to be trash, and but she found some redeeming qualities in it, and she saw beyond, what was written. And a lot of people interpret art in certain ways, and he just didn't like the fact that she liked it, so he don't like her, and then he blew up a whole relationship. He don't deserve her. She deserves that. And this is why I'm single. This is why so many black people are single. We out here dealing with, y'all need therapy. All of y'all. I said this after Creed 3. Black men, y'all need therapy.
I'm in therapy.
I am too.
I'm very proud of you.
I'm in therapy. Let me put that out
We got the two, Joy. We got the two who are in therapy.
He used to be a well-adjusted. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm trying.
Y'all older brothers are trash.
I know. Oh, trust me, I know. So that scene where he blew up the relationship out. At no point did he, because for everybody who he saw reading the book that he was expecting to react, I guess, in his viewpoint, the right way, he never told anyone aside from his brother that he's the one who actually wrote the book.
Right.
Like, he never told Erica, like, you're blown up at this woman that you're in a relationship with. I'm not even going to say in love because they never really established that, but you're in a relationship with this woman. You wrote this work. She happened to stumble across it and read it. She likes it.
Loves it.
I get that you're upset that she likes it, but if you had just taken a breath for a minute and told her, A, you're the one who actually wrote it, and B, the reason you wrote it, maybe you all could have had a fruitful conversation and come to an understanding, maybe not an agreement, but an understanding as to why she likes it and why you wrote it. And maybe, just maybe, you could have salvaged that relationship. But no, again, in your own headspace, because you think you are above it all, and I get that, being, I'm not going to say thinking so highly of yourself, but being in a place of esteem, recognition once upon a time, like you do tend to think very highly of yourself. There isn't some ego play there.
You know it all.
Right. Because he's either never been
word?
challenged properly or no one's ever told him he was wrong up until this point.
Right.
But
pompous. He's a pompous know-it-all.
Yes. So in his world of writing, no one's ever told him no. Like, I think the closest anyone told him no was his publisher was like, you sure you want to do this? Which isn't really no. It's like, take a minute to think about this. Because, I mean, I'm going to publish it, but are you sure you want to do it? So no one ever told him, don't do this at any point. And it's like, you were just taking a breath. You could have salvaged at least that relationship. Cool. You rectified with your brother. Y'all came to an understanding. You accepted him. He, accepted you, or more so, like, or was appreciative you accepted him more so. I don't think his brother actually accepted. Sterling K. Brown's character never really accepted Jeffrey Wright as more than just the pompous ass that he is. It's like, this is who you are.
Yeah.
And this is who you're going to be.
Yeah.
I just need you to accept me because this is who I am now, not who I was before.
Right.
So that was the understanding they came to as brothers. But
yeah, I felt like if there was anybody he was going to tell about that to anybody, it would have been Eric Alexander's character, because I was like, if anything, it's not like she like James had mentioned, she may not have agreed, but I think she would have understood coming from that, telling her about why he did it. And I think for him not doing that, I think that he's more or less disrespecting her, not giving her enough credit.
It's the equivalent of being mad at somebody for something you dreamed about. I'm mad at you for what you did in my dream, because she had no idea why he's so upset. Because otherwise, she just knows that she read a book that clearly he bought. She saw it,
right?
So what's you so mad about? Why are you mad that I liked it? I also think that if he had shared with her, I wrote this book, here's why I wrote it, she could have helped him understand how he missed the mark. Because he didn't write a book that people would pan because it's drivel. He wrote a book that appealed to people by accident because he's not in touch with that reality. He stumbled upon it, probably picking and choosing stuff from Issa Rae's book, to be honest, and thought, I'll slap some stuff together and we'll see how it goes. And he lucked up and it worked. And he didn't plan for it to work. So if he knew more about what pandering really would have looked like, or knew more about how to make it sound so ridiculous that it can't possibly be true, he might have done a little better. Because I remember when Sister Soldier wrote The Coldest Winter Ever. That book was wow. I mean, I think Winter Santiago, the main character, is like maybe 13 when the book starts, and she might be 18 when it ends. And like by the time it ends, her mom is in jail. She's been turned out. Like her dad is headed to prison. It's a mess. It's a whole New Jack City drug dealer mess. That is not my reality, not my world. But I felt it. I'm reading the book and I'm relating to it because it's very well written. But it also it's not like Black people trauma porn. But it was very much, this shit happens, and y'all need to know that this happens. And I feel like the book that he wrote as Stag R. Lee, because I remember the song Stagger Lee, but that's where he got the name from. If y'all didn't know that, but
I was not aware of what the name. I knew it was a play on something. I just didn't know what.
There's a I got something in my eye. There's a song called Stagger Lee from my mother's time frame, so it came out in like the 60s.
Gotcha.
Okay.
But him writing that book as Stagger Lee, he didn't realize that might be somebody's lived experience, because it had no relationship to him. And so him being mad that people get it just shows you how much he didn't get it. He still isn't out of touch. I'm kind of mad at Jeffrey Wright. Like, I'm mad at that guy.
Oh, I mean, it was well played, because I feel like a lot of his films, he gets into these characters. He's a very good character actor.
Yes.
So like even in films like OG, like you feel that he is that imprisoned character. Like in this film, you feel like he's that pompous asshole that's disconnected from his family and his people, which is why he does what he does. So
think about the acting it took for him as an actor to play a pompous asshole, having to pretend to be a gangster on the phone and in the black shadows and everything. That's that dude playing a dude disguised as another dude. Which also got an Oscar nomination. RDJ got a nomination in that role.
Yes, it did. Oh man. But yeah, James, were you gonna say something before?
So it's like when he wrote the book, because again, he was railing against like what he wanted to do, because before he wrote the book, he went to, I guess, wasn't really it was a reading of the Issa Rae's character's her book.
Yeah.
And was surprised, like, wait, this is what the audience wants? It's like he took every negative trope from like New Jack City, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, Juice, like
right?
all
Belly.
the right, like all the movies where the primary environment of Black people is the hood,
which
and
he's
all the
never
things
been
that go
to.
with it was like, I'm gonna take all of these not good situations, make a book, but I'm gonna turn it to the extreme times 10. And just go completely ridiculous, because even when he's writing and you can see the characters acting like the characters he envisioned acting it out, and they're just looking at him like, wait, so what's my motivation here?
Why am I doing? Yeah,
you don't have any. Like, what do you mean what's your motivation? Because and that's what Issa Rae was getting on him about, as far as like when they're having their discussion, is like, at least when she's writing of, you know, lived experiences. Yes, they're not, you know, positively reflective on us as a whole, as a community, but they are actual lived experiences. Whereas his work was like the worst of the worst, just for being the worst of the worst. Like it just was that because there was nothing else better to do. Like, there was no substance behind it. There was no, like, I think she said at one point, it's like, you know, no one I know lives like that.
Yeah.
You know,
this also speaks to, again, his pompousness and his hypocrisy, in that he condemned her book based off hearing her read an excerpt from it and never read her book, but judged her and her literature and she's like, I did a lot of research. Now, I will say the reading that she does early on in the movie, I was like, it hurt my ears, all of it.
But you pregnant again?
That might be that particular character's speaking style in one slice of the book. The rest of it might not be that way. But oh my God, just I had learned it did him. Oh my God.
It was hilarious though.
It's hilarious.
Her delivery.
The fact that she did that was
right, just deadpan.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
If I had to, I mean, if you judge a book, just they say don't judge a book by its cover, but if you judge it off like a one out of context reading sentence, you don't know what's going on in there. And he didn't. He never really gave her a fair chance. You know, she read his book. Yeah. He ain't read hers. Jerk.
All right. So, I guess on a 10 scale rating, James, what would you give this film?
9.5.
9.5. Okay. Joy, what you got?
Yeah, I go 9.
Okay. And Teresa?
8.5.
8.5. Okay. All right. See, I'd say I'd give it a solid 9, 9.5. It's a very good film. Very, very good film. There's clearly a reason why it was Oscar nominated, although Poor Things was also Oscar nominated, and that movie was trash. I couldn't watch the first 10 minutes of it.
Bro, The Shape of Water won an Oscar for Best Movie, and that is splash reducted. Like, it's trash.
Yeah. Poor Things, first 10, 15 minutes, me and my girlfriend, we looked at each other like, can we turn this off? Yep. Yep.
Which is why I don't trust the Academy Awards as far as when they nominate films.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Got to see more movies.
I will never forgive the Academy Awards when I saw the article. This is when the Oscar So White stuff was coming out, and NWA's movie, their biopic, if you will, had come out. What is it? What was it called?
Straight Outta Compton.
And it didn't get nominated because some of the people that were choosing things to nominate wouldn't watch it because they said it was too loud. That's too loud. I'm not gonna watch it.
And that movie was good.
It was so good. It was so good. It did gloss over a lot of things. And it didn't touch on stuff that would have maybe put some of the people in a worse light than was already there.
Right.
But it was so good. And it showed you the other part of the creation of NWA and particularly of the song F the Police. Like, it talked about that. And they didn't even watch it because it's too loud.
It was too loud.
Yeah.
So,
I will never forgive them because, you know, when I was younger, the Oscars, that's the end all be all or whatever. So these movies that they're nominating for Best Picture, they must be good. So I started trying to watch some of them. I will never forgive them for Mulholland Drive, and people still talk about, oh, Mulholland Drive. I watched that movie.
Wasted space.
I was mad.
The only
And another one, just real quick. Was it No Country for Old Men? It was.
Oh my gosh, that movie was
No
nowhere
Country
near as
for
good as they
Old
said it
Men and There Will Be Blood came out.
Yeah.
They were the same year, and
Uh-huh.
I think I watched both of them. I'm not sure. Whatever I watched was trash.
Yeah. I will say Mulholland Drive, the one scene where they're in that diner and that creepy ass homeless man just pops up in the window, that will forever scare the shit out of me. Like, for what? Like, for why? For why?
I was too mad to be scared.
I can understand that. And I recently had a conversation with Furious a couple of weeks ago about the quality of films, like objectively looking at movies and their quality. And a third person who we were talking to asked me, like, have I seen No Country for Old Men? I said, yes. She's like, objectively, do you think it's a good movie? I was like, do I think it's good, or did I think it was Oscar worthy? She was like, did I think it was good? I was like, nah, it wasn't good. Like, and I sat there and watched the movie because I'm like, all right, at the time when I had my AMC free stubs, I'm like, it's a free ticket because I paid for this program, whatever. Let me go see this movie that's nominated. And I'm watching, I'm like, all right, it's a solid film, but I don't understand why this thing got nominated. Like, objectively.
What was so great about it.
Right.
Other
Objectively, 7 out of 10.
I mean, yeah.
But and then another one
I do
that
think that it gave us Javier Bardem, though. I do like him.
I mean, fine, but your main villain and your main hero never meet in the damn movie. Ever. Houseway. And the murders never get solved.
Yeah.
Who wrote this? How was this good? There was no conclusion whatsoever. The only thing that's reconciled is Tom Lee Jones is
Joy, you're right.
Too old for this nonsense, and I want to quit my job. So he leaves. Yeah. $1 Million Baby was another piece of trash.
I like $1 Million Baby.
I would say that was pretty good.
I'm sorry. Was it a touching story? Yes. Should have been nominated for any awards? No.
I put it up there with Rocky and them, like, as far as a movie about boxing from a woman's point of view. I like what?
I mean, that's about it. Yeah, like a female version of Rocky, sure.
Well, Rocky was Oscar nominated.
I mean, what was it going against at the time, and
what was she going against at the time?
No, I mean, exactly. Yeah. I couldn't tell you what else was nominated. Like,
what was Mulholland Drive going against? There had to be something better than that came out that year.
Oh man.
Shape of Water. I will forever be mad at the Oscars for Shape of Water, especially when somebody told me, like, I saw the movie, and during the whole movie, I'm like, this is dumb. Because my whole thing is, why is it that so many people of a certain, persuasion have no problem just banging aliens? I'm gonna need you to keep your pants on around these aliens. Like, see, this is how we get zombies,
Right.
Or Complex 27. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why is this okay? And why did you? Why were you interested? I have never in my life looked at a fish and been like, damn. Like, no, not at all. And when somebody explained, like, they're like, do you see the parallels about meeting someone and having a connection with them, and you don't know why?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You end up with going underwater and living underwater with them. That's Splash with Tom
Hanks.
Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah.
At least she was half human.
Yeah, at least she had legs on the water, and she didn't look like a fish. The whole thing is ridiculous. Ridiculous and slow and dumb. The only thing I got out of Shape of Water that I appreciated was the idea that I've shared around, like, diversity and inclusion spaces, where when we talk about supremacy of any nation, regardless whether it's white or not, the idea of we would rather burn this whole place down than let somebody else win. And so if we can't have this technology, we'll kill him so that nobody else can have it either. That's some supremacist stuff, whether it's Russian, German, white in general, Japanese, whatever. Somebody's like, I'd rather kill it all than let you have it. That's the only thing I got out of that movie, which had nothing to do with the romance. But anyway, yeah, the Oscars, not a good barometer of
No,
movies.
not at all.
Forever.
So somebody brought up Straight Outta Compton, where that's like the first movie I saw Lakeith Stanfield in. And speaking of Lakeith Stanfield, Book of Clarence.
Good segue.
Good segue.
The Book of Clarence. I think so again, in the Insecure discussion panel, I first heard of this movie being developed with a slew of like great actors, great black actors in it. So I was like excited. Didn't know what it was gonna be. Didn't know if it was gonna be more of a drama, more of a comedy. But I was just excited because like, Lakeith Stanfield in Atlanta, hilarious, hilarious.
Absolutely, yes.
And he is an amazing actor.
He is.
So yeah, I was super excited about this movie. So when I saw it, I first and foremost, the soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's
fire.
like that. It's like that. It's definitely like that. I literally have that saved on my Spotify right now because the actual scoring and the actual album soundtrack both curated perfectly. Like the soulness, the soul aspect of it, the drums, like it's amazing, absolutely amazing. And that initial score when the movie first opens up is just awesome. Teresa, what you got?
Now, I just want to interject here that from here on out, I will be listening and finishing my Hush Puppy because I have not seen this movie. So don't ask me any questions.
Teresa, if you need a link to watch it, I got you.
I would actually like that because I went when I realized this was coming up. I looked to see where it was streaming, and it's not streaming for free anywhere. You have to.
I was gonna say check the Facebook Messenger group. If you take out the spaces from that link that I posted, there you go. I definitely install an ad blocker though, but
cool.
that's a real good site. But yeah, amazing soundtrack. So that's the first thing that got me. It's like that opening with the horns and the harmonizing, like that got me right there. And then that opening scene where they're racing Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just like,
Mary Magdalene is kicking their ass.
Tiana Taylor, perfect cast for that because she's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I was just like, yeah, if I was gonna cast Mary Magdalene as anybody, that'd be one of my first go-tos right there. So
I also love it's a generic Wakanda accent that they have in the movie, but I love that there is some level of African accent because where is this taking place? Why would they have accents? Or even European, they're gonna sound like that, and everybody black and I don't care who you are, where you started. You in the sun out there that long, you're gonna be black. It is what it is. But speaking of out in the sun and not black, can we give a shout out to your boy? Oh my God, Dr. Strange. What's his real name?
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, hilarious twist. Hilarious twist at the end.
Yes, he was.
Another scene stealer. Like when he started like that was the best. That was the absolute best.
Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Because initially seeing that character at the beginning, I'm thinking, Jesus. That is right, or either that or that is like an angel, impersonating someone who needs help and trying to gauge someone's character, right? But when you find out who that actually is, I'm just like, that's great writing. That's absolutely great writing.
Especially because if you think about the indoctrination that we all have had in any Western civilization is to associate Jesus with pale skin, blue eyes or brown eyes and long straight hair, either brown or dirty blonde. And then here comes some dirty white boy on a crucifix. Like, that must be Jesus. And it's absolutely not. And it's not an angel either. But why do we want the white guy to be some sort of ethereal being? I mean, that's, again, what were we thinking? And they never gave you any indication until you found out who he was, Right. Then you realize, oh, he's just another bum, which that's a meta thought in and of itself. The white folks
Another bum with money coming out of his hands.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very much so. Yes. Very much so.
But I love the idea of it all. You know, his little 2-bit hustler trying to make it and decides, and his evolution into belief or non-belief, however you want to look at it. But you know, he just decides I can make this hustle work. I can do some little magic tricks. And you know, and if it don't work, I'll just be like, y'all didn't believe. And then to have it all play out that way. Yeah, it was great. It was great the way they did it, the way they pulled it off.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I will say, like, the first time I watched anything with Lakeith Stanfield in it was the live action Death Note movie.
Ooh, how was that?
Not good, but I purposefully watched it because he was being cast as L in the film.
Okay.
So real short, there was railing against the movie initially because the actors for the main characters, Light and his dad, were white.
Yeah.
So naturally, the certain part of the fan base was like, why are we casting white people as Japanese characters?
Right.
Of course, that's another population of the fan base was like, oh, it doesn't matter. They're making a live action film. We want to see this. Then it's announced that Lakeith Stanfield, who I didn't know at the time, but it's basically all they saw was black man cast as L. Oh, you can't do this. Why is a black person being cast? And I was like, oh, now there's a problem. I'm watching this movie. I'm watching this movie just because the black dude's playing L. And he look, him aside, the movie was trash. He killed it as L. And I need to finish the Death Note series. A whole nother story. But Keith Stanfield, phenomenal actor. He
does get cast as weird guy number one though. Like all of his movies.
I will say what he was. Get Out.
The Photograph.
I haven't seen The Photograph.
I forgot he was in The Photograph.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, him and Issa Rae. Yeah. Insecure Discussion Group. I know.
That's the love story. I did see The Photograph. Yes.
Oh shit! Did we see that together?
Yes, we did. I know. We both. Yes. Okay. The Photograph. Yes. So one, he has range, so he can go from like two ends of the extremes. Get Out, he plays a totally different character. Again, The Photograph, he's like almost more of a somber, chill type, just trying to figure out his own ish. And you know, unlike Jeffrey Wright's character from the previous film, like he's trying to get out of his own way and build this relationship, as opposed to like, nah, I'm gonna just do this. But
Sorry to Bother You.
Oh my God.
Oh, comedy. Amazing movie.
He was great in that too, as far as just flipping the establishment around. And this film, again, phenomenal job, because he plays his characters in such a way in which I would say, at least for me specifically, I can identify with them for the most part. You know, it's not like, okay, I can see where it's coming from an objective standpoint. From a personal standpoint, I can put myself in his shoes because of how well he's portraying. It's believable that this person actually exists.
Right.
You know, even with the ridiculousness of his character in Atlanta. because I knew somebody like that when I was in college. So the same ridiculousness
in Atlanta. So
but yeah, he did a phenomenal job. The fact that his character is the brother of one of the apostles.
The twin brother of one of the apostles.
Right. It is the setup. That is the beginning of that is the premise of the setup. His brother is one of the 12 apostles. Like, wow.
What?
And he don't believe. Yeah.
And he doesn't believe, but he holds resentment towards his brother because his brother just basically, like, Jesus came, called his brother left without question. Meanwhile, their mama is struggling, and he feels resentment because now you left. You didn't say anything. You just bounced up out of town. You followed some dude who just showed up one day out of the blue. You don't know who he is. I'm taking care of mom. Like, what? How am I supposed to feel? Like, I'm supposed to just accept this? Like, no, this isn't cool.
Right.
Like,
how can I be happy for you and your enlightenment when your enlightenment has put a burden on me and the rest of the family? And you didn't even come check on us. You know, you got to do it out here making fish sandwiches for 5,000 people, and you can't bring groceries home to mom. The fuck?
Fact. get his resentment, like from that standpoint alone, from the way they said, and you get all that in like the first 10, 15 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
You know, they ain't wait to drag that out. It was like, here's his situation. It's like, okay, yeah, let's see where this goes. I'm in. Let's fake these miracles and pose as Jesus. You know, because why not? Obviously,
Right.
it's working for him. Dude has a following. No one's ever really seen his face or know who he is. His 12 peoples come out and always preach on his behalf, and you know, stuff supposedly happens every. Nah, we're just gonna go to other smaller encampments around the major countryside and whatever. We're gonna do the same things that they heard about, but you know, on a lower scale.
I gotta say,
person of Jesus. If you like Jesus, you love him.
Right.
We got Jesus at home.
You know what? One of my really good friends, I was telling her about the movie. And it's even better because she's white. She's not American white. She's South African white, actually. But when I told her I explained the movie to her, she goes, so basically it's We Got Jesus at Home. I fell out laughing for like 2 days straight. One, because of who said it. Two, because she was absolutely right. You know, Jesus.
Yeah, I would not expect that person to say it. Yes.
Yes. Which speaks to, if you really want to understand the culture, it's possible. You don't have to be born into it. She knows. She's one of my really good friends, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of the apostles, great casting of Judas, because I'm still not over Jamie and Top Boy. He annoys me. I'm still not over what they did to my the little kid, and I'm just like, yeah, F you, Jamie, F you forever, man. So so perfect casting for Judas, perfect casting.
I love his breakdown at the end where he actually betrayed Jesus, or
it's a gravy.
Because he's having the conversation. It's kind of like the best equivalence I have is when Schmeagol is losing his shit in Lord of the Rings. Because that's basically what's happening to him. And you think he's talking to another person, but he's really talking to himself.
And accomplice.
But he was paid off, but the whole existential crisis he's having as far as like, yeah, we got to tell. Well, why? We got paid. We got to do this. Like, no. Like the whole back and forth is like, oh, snap, he's talking to himself the whole time.
No, I thought first I was thrown off because it's like we just watched Stranger Things, like not just like 4 or 5 months ago again. And to see Caleb McLaughlin with a beard out here, I was just like, wait, hold on, what?
You grow up.
Right. Like we just saw you as a kid, and you're out here with a beard and driving a cart nonetheless. I was like, all right, cool. Cool. And then the actor that played his sidekick, I forget what his name is in real life, but I feel like he's like criminally underrated as an actor. Because I remember what movie was that? Because he's the guy that directed this movie also directed the Harder We Fall.
Yes.
Or The Harder They Fall.
Oh yeah,
and
he was
he was in that one as well. And he was Billy in the Power Rangers reboot. So
he was.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Well, like I said,
and
he stay acting just like your boy Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I also love his character. There's a show on HBO called Rap Shit. I love his character in that show too.
I've heard about that show, but I don't have HBO, so I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
I'm gonna find it somewhere.
But yeah, I thought especially the scene with the slaves where he is fighting Barabbas.
Oh my God, Barabbas.
Barabbas, hilarious.
That's great.
Great casting right there. Absolutely hilarious.
Love Barabbas.
Oh my goodness, Barabbas was awesome. I thought that fight scene was incredible. Very good choreographed fight.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very good. But I thought his character was awesome, like golden, absolutely golden.
And I love that him freeing Barabbas and the rest of the slaves led to him having some sort of like internal epiphany of there is something bigger than me. It may not be religion or following a specific religious doctrine, but there's a reason to fight for justice, to fight for what's right, to want to help other people. And that's where he ultimately got to. Even though he was never a Messiah, he still saw a need to use whatever power he had to help other people, you know?
Yeah, because
I felt like
initially the money was going to be used. Spoilers for people who haven't seen it. The money he got from all the fake miracles, if you will, was to pay back a debt to the brother of the woman he's in love with.
Right.
And then he's like, nah, I made a promise.
Right.
And I'm gonna uphold this promise as opposed to pay off my debt, because my debt be damned.
No, I just felt like a lot of those actions led to his further enlightenment, which I thought was like the light bulb coming on top of the head, like this play on words, but I thought was awesome. Which I'm interested as far as the end of the movie where he is resurrected. Spoilers, where he's resurrected and gets that light bulb above his head. I'm wondering like what they were alluding to at that point. Like were they alluding to like he knows that there is a higher power? Were they alluding to like I'm not sure what they were trying to get at or what they were trying to say with that.
I feel like when I saw that, I was like, I mean, how do you deny the presence of a higher existential being when they done brought you back from the dead? You got to know.
Right.
You didn't just take a nap. You remember being crucified, so when you come back like that, you have it changes your outlook. And so for me, that light bulb was more of he is now enlightened, or if that's idea, now he has an idea of what the afterlife is like, what is out there beyond this plane of existence, what God might truly be, and then what does he do with that knowledge was my question. Because as far as we know, the rest of the Bible ain't got no mention of Clarence. So what happens? Is there is he the 13th apostle? What happens once he's resurrected? But then also remember, Jesus had the same thing happen. So does he still go back around being knockoff Jesus? Same way,
But his crucifixion happens before Jesus' crucifixion.
Yeah.
So he can say, I did it first.
Right. So for me, I feel like his resurrection was, I won't say the enlightenment, because he pretty much had the acceptance when he was in jail. And I'm trying to remember the actress who plays his love interest. But
Anna Diop. She plays Starfire in Titans.
Yes. So when she comes to visit him while he's in jail before he's crucified or whatever, and at that point, he's pretty much accepted, okay, Jesus is real. I've been screwing up. I accept that there's this higher power that exists. I understand why people believe. Like, it's not so much a crisis of faith. He understands the faith that people have and have put in Jesus.
Yeah.
And he's accepted of it to where it's like, I don't know what my place is in all this, but whatever happens, I'll take that on.
Yeah.
And he's basically, you watch him go from being selfish to selfless over the course of the film. And he understands that, it's like he's seeing the bigger picture. So now it's like, it's not about me, or it's not about us as individuals. It's about we as a community, we as a people type thing. The resurrection, I feel like that was his reward.
Okay.
For finally coming to the understanding and accepting of Jesus. Because again, remember in the beginning, it's like he's a charlatan, he's a circus act. He's like, I don't believe. Like, you faith for what? For why? Like, I haven't seen these miracles. Like, if it didn't happen in front of my own two eyes, I don't believe it, type thing,
Yeah.
And complete 180 at the end of the film. So the resurrection is pretty much his reward for, you have walked the path, if you will.
Yeah. I thought the scene where he went to Mary's house. I was talking about, first of all, Alfre Woodard, amazing actress. Love seeing Alfre Woodard as Mary. I was like, yes.
Her and the guy who played Joseph, I love that scene.
Let's not forget about John the Baptist neither.
Yeah.
when John, David Oyelowo, when he see out the ever loving piss out of him, That's how I felt that slap. We were in the audience. He's a slap. Ooh, like everybody was like, oh God.
Why are you slapping me?
Right, but that's the thing that I love about this movie is like everybody saw the potential in it and saw that it was going to be a moment or something, and like I want in on it. And so you got these big name stars that I honestly feel did it for next to nothing. You know,
Yeah.
Alfred Woodard probably just showed up because she ain't had nothing to do on a Tuesday and was like, sure, fine, I'll be mom. What? I'll be Mary, whatever. You know.
Right.
That's what I like about some of these smaller films, especially as we are now in a position as Black people living in America to do passion projects, you know, where you're not worried about where your next meal is coming from. So you don't have to worry about being an actor that doesn't necessarily get paid the rate that you could command. So you can put all these big names in it because they just want to be in it because they think it's cute or funny. And then none of them had to work more than a day. Alfred Woodard probably did all her scenes in a weekend, you know?
Right.
But it's great. It's a great movie. I was very, very impressed with it because I went in with very low expectations. I went in with, please don't let this be like I'm gonna get you sucker. And it was so
Right.
so much better.
I was gonna say
real quick, Kyle, I will say in some instances, if anyone has seen the Hercules movie with The Rock,
okay.
I won't say similar, but I felt like the idea is similar because in that film, the Rock plays Hercules, but the trials or whatever, or the stories being told are embellished, right? He doesn't actually fight a 3-headed dog. It's 3 larger than normal dogs that they're fighting. Like, it's the twist on the stories. So what is it, like the 13 trials that he goes through or whatever, the stories, they're not as grand. The actual adventures are not as grandiose. They have a storyteller in the troupe and he's not by himself. He has a team of people helping him fight this stuff, but he takes all the credit. So
I didn't even know this movie was made. When did this come out?
Oh, I want to say 14 or 15.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
totally missed it.
Yeah, it's at least 10 years old. Well done in how they told the story of Hercules with the same overarching themes around the character, but it's just that all of his adventures are just blown out of proportion. So like the Hydra he fought wasn't a real Hydra. It was like, if you will, ninjas of the era who basically kept attacking relentlessly over and over again. So yeah, it looked like you cut one head off, 2 more pop up type thing.
That's pretty cool.
So and they show all that at the end credits. So you get to see the mythical trials of Hercules played out, but you see them played out as scaled down versions. So like the Nemean lion wasn't really this big monstrous lion. It was just a very, it was average sized lion that they had trouble beating, taking down or whatever. There was a real struggle to like beat this thing.
So that's how Hercules is white. They be just being embellished and all that. I did all this and take credit for everybody else's work. And it wasn't even that big a deal.
It's a good popcorn movie. If you're bored, I will say, you got some time to kill. You want to put it on the background. It's worth listening to and peeking up every 5 minutes or so. But just for that aspect, as far as like how they, just as how they tell the story of his trials and his accomplishments, and I felt that in what Lakeith Stanfield was, and his people were doing, as far as, we're gonna basically plagiarize all the Jesus miracles and doing myself, and that was basically the same thing. Like the guy, they had one of them pretend to be blind so they can put, they just covered his eyes in mud, basically.
Yeah.
The one who pretend, raising Lazarus from the dead, they basically had one of their friends like literally fall asleep.
Yeah.
So things like that. So just like, oh, Jesus did this. All right, well, here's how we can spoof this and make it look like we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what was great about it. And I just want to say for the record that I am not racist, but I am bitter. And so sometimes I say bitter things. I like white people just fine.
Well,
just easy to when they're not around. Say what?
I said, speaking of bitter, the Romans in this movie.
Yes. James McAvoy.
If that didn't feel like white cops rolling through the hood for no reason whatsoever other than I'm bored and I want to fuck with y'all.
I forgot about that. You're right.
I don't know
You
what
are so
was. Because when they finally came to get Clarence, and Ayanna Diop, she comes out along with her brother, and they're and the brother now who this Clarence owes me money, but now I'm defending him because this is my people.
Right.
You all have no authority. Like, who gave you all the authority to come in here and snatch one of us up?
And that's exactly what happens in the hood. I felt those overtones for the whole movie, that they were telling the story of oppressed people, regardless of where they are. You know, we can say that it's like cops in America, but it could be like MPs in Great Britain or wherever. You know, you have a group that they see as less than, and they mistreat them disproportionately because nobody's checking for them. You know, and having that dilemma, like you said, of the guy he owed money to, he owes me money, but you ain't gonna just grab up my man's like this. Like, it's still my boy, even though I'm mad at him right now. You can't just take him like this. And didn't they say at one point, stop resisting? Like, they made it kind of clear in a couple of places.
Yeah, no, they definitely did.
They did saying it to Barabbas when they were trying to arrest him.
And that scene was awesome, where he's
running.
Yeah, where he's running.
They Satan, yo, that was great.
And
I thought that scene was
down and couldn't. Like, he even put the spear through his heel, and he was like, "I ain't Achilles." Like, that.
Yeah, I absolutely love that scene because it spoke to the persistence of a character like that. You know, you are a slave, essentially, to fight in war or to fight in battle, and you endured through all that. Right. You got nothing to lose. So I think that spoke to his character, even at the end, where, because he could have very well have just listened to Clarence when he told him to run and never have come back. But to see Clarence at the very end, you know, carrying that cross and be there to risk it all to save him, or to do the very best that he could,
to help.
I thought that to help him. I thought that was very well written, very well written. That spoke highly of spoke well to his character.
I also think that was another moment on Clarence's journey towards being enlightened, is to realize that people will help you because they want to help you, not because you're doing something for them.
Right.
And the idea of community being real as opposed to just a facade for capitalism or whatever. Like, I thought that was a good moment.
Like the kids
also thought
as well. The kids basically beat him up and took his robes after he lost a chariot race, were the same kids at the end of the film also offering to help him, wipe his brow, help him lift the cross, help him, you know, try to help him get back up and everything. So yeah, that sense of community, like you felt that in this film.
Yeah, that was literally his cross to bear. Like, that was his burden. That's something that he had to do. Bye, Teresa. That was literally his cross to bear. That's something he had to go through. I felt that, you know, if it had been earlier through the film, you know, he would have taken all the help that he could get to get him out of that situation. But he realized that doing so, he would have endangered all those people.
Yeah.
Right? And
now he understands what sacrifice really is.
Absolutely. So I thought that was very, very good writing.
Yeah. This movie was way more than it honestly had any right to be. You know, it's just
absolutely
very well written, well acted, amazingly, great cast, great score, great soundtrack. It should be up there in the canon of Black films, along with like Boomerang and Above the Rim. Like, I want more of us to see it, because I think it had a short run in the theater. And to Teresa's point, it's not streaming anywhere. I think that's on purpose, but I would love to see it streaming, even if we got to bootleg it, you know, something. We used to bootleg stuff all the time. I want everybody to see it. I want us to be able to quote stuff out there like we do New Jack City. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Because I feel like movies like this, like you mentioned, there is definitely a reason as to why they don't want films like this to be widespread. But I feel like it's important because, kind of playing to the first movie we spoke about, not every Black movie has to be trauma porn. You know, not every Black movie has to be, you know, us in the hood. We can have
White
different.
people don't like to see Jesus not being black, not being white.
Right.
No.
I literally watched a video essay where they were talking about the movie The Magical Black the Society of Magical Black Negroes, and why a lot of people were up in arms about that, because the trailer showed just black people being magical, and we had like never really seen that in films. Like either our magic is tied to a trauma or we're going through a traumatic event tied to our race. But this movie was what people thought were just going to show like black Hogwarts, black people being magical, which it turned out not to be. But I love movies like The Book of Clarence because it shows us in our element. It shows us being funny. It shows us being joyous and all different types of black people.
Being in love, being happy.
Being in love, right.
Being complex characters and not just sidekicks.
Right.
We're not
so
or props to elevate the white protagonist.
Right. So I love movies like this, and I hope to see more. I hope to see more out of this director, because it's just like, and he's made 2 films in the past like 3 or 4 years that have been really good in my opinion, and have highlighted specifically black actors. And I mean, because Lakeith Stanfield was in that movie as well, The Harder They Fall. So
yeah, he was.
He was.
So I love the way he shoots movies. I love the colors that he brings to those movies. But I also love to see movies like this where you're getting to see black actors do something else besides trauma porn, or something else besides a movie or something like that. So yeah.
I would love to see what this director would do with Afrofuturism.
Oh yeah. Absolutely yes. I would love to see the soundtrack to an Afrofuturism movie that he would make. That would be amazing.
It would be. I feel like it would be like Wakanda meets like that's Wakanda score meets like techno pop or something.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So James, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give The Book of Clarence?
10. Honestly, 10? Like I have zero complaints, and it's rare for me to say that about a film. Like I can always nitpick at something, but like if this movie had a longer run, I would have seen it 2 or 3 times in the theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna go with 10. Like of the 2, I love them both for different reasons. They are 2 different genres, so they don't compare to each other. In the genre that American fiction is in, I give it a 9. In the genre that Book of Clarence is in, I give it a 10. You know, that's more of the movie that I'm gonna watch whenever it comes on. If it ever comes to any streaming platform, I'm there. I'm watching it over and over again. That's gonna be my go-to on a Saturday. I want to be able to quote lines. I want to be able to run it back and see things that I might have missed before. I'm very interested and invested in all of these characters, and I want to see the little nuanced things. I can be like, "Yo, I didn't catch that the first time." I want to do all of that with that movie because I know it's in there. That movie was packed full, and it was just really entertaining.
Yes,
you know. You have to be in the mood to do a movie like American fiction, where it might put you in your feelings for different reasons on different occasions. But over and over again, I was in my feelings with that movie. This one, it made me think, it made me laugh. I identified with the characters, and I walked away feeling good. And that's what I want from a movie. You know? I
felt like this movie was like our Monty Python or our History of the World.
Life of Brian.
Life of Brian, very much so like Life of Brian. And I felt like from the initial trailers I saw, it was played up as a comedy, but which it definitely was, but the drama that you got from that and the depth you got from all the characters, I thought was very special. If I could give this thing, I give it a 12 out of 10 because it exceeded. It definitely exceeded my expectations.
Teresa sent us the text. She said we convinced her to go see the movie. She's gonna go see it.
It's definitely one of my favorite films of last. When did it come out? Last year or this year? Last year.
No, it came out this
year.
One
of my favorite.
This year? January.
Did it come out this year?
It came out in January.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So definitely one of my favorite films this year. So it was an amazing watch, amazing film. Definitely something because I'm glad I did save it to my hard drive because I can just go back between that and Bottoms, like 2 of the better movies of the year.
Bottoms was
Bottoms, oh
wild.
my God. Yeah, she loved Bottoms.
Shout out to Marshawn Lynch, my favorite little ghetto boy. I adore him with my whole heart. I don't know how I love that man.
He was an amazing ally.
Not a lusty like sexual love. I adore him. I want to hang out with him and I want to watch him eat. I don't know why.
I'm not gonna lie. So my girlfriend will watch Bottoms every single day if she wanted to, because she'll literally recite that movie word for word. It's awesome. It is awesome. But no, those are my two favorite.
About the trajectory of Marshawn Lynch. He went from not wanting
Oh my God.
Skittles to being actually pretty damn good actor, because I feel like he improv most of his big films in that movie. They said, man, just go out there and be you.
Especially the bloopers, because you could tell like the 42 fake in front of
Right.
Oh my goodness. And the actress in that who plays Josie, I love her on The Bear. Absolutely love her on The Bear. And then I heard she's supposed to be the lead, rumored to be the lead in the Pirates reboot. Pirates of the Caribbean reboot.
Why are we rebooting the Pirates of the Caribbean?
Because Disney likes printing money and the Pirates is a successful franchise.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did it. They already have it was a Disney property before it was a movie. And so we already had a ride. Why are we doing this?
Money.
Yeah. Like I said, that her casting is a rumor, but the reboot aspect of that is not. So
yeah, they are rebooting. Because Pirates of the Caribbean will put butts in seats.
Absolutely. And that's what they need right now.
I don't know, man. Johnny Depp was singular in his portrayal of Captain Jack Sparrow. I don't know how they're gonna get
I think the way they're thinking, we made one Jack Sparrow, we could make another one. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Lakeith Stanfield, yes.
Well, I think the thing is they tried to do that with Lakeith Stanfield in the Haunted Mansion, and that didn't work out too hot.
But I mean, it was a Haunted Mansion. They had nothing to go on.
Yeah.
Haunted Mansion is a ride.
Yeah.
And even when Eddie Murphy did it, it was trash too. So I don't know why they keep trying.
And they put a bad Tyler Perry wig on, which I didn't appreciate. So,
You know what? I really want Tyler Perry to outrun this association with bad wigs.
No,
it's gonna take a lot, but I want that for him in 2024. I want his next movie. So it won't though. Yo, one of my friends was talking about the movie that came out on Netflix, I guess.
Is it the Mea Culpa?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. I haven't seen it.
Don't watch it. She hate watched it and got mad at herself for doing it. And they called me because I was driving from Atlanta to Birmingham at the time. So she watched it on my birthday. And she called me like every 20 minutes, like, girl, you won't believe this bullshit. And so all day, I know the whole movie because she was giving me blow by blow, like, this is the stupidest bullshit ever. And so I want for Tyler, in all honesty, because I think that he is a singular talent. I think that he has great opportunities and resources. I want for him a writer's room.
First and foremost.
And a wig stylist. Or just let people wear their own hair. You ain't got to put a wig on nobody. Just let them wear their hair. Let me do this. Let me just come home with my Afro puff. I don't need a wig on this, you know? But I want a writer's room for him because similar to the last thing he did, which was what? Fall from Grace. The movie don't make no damn sense.
That was a meme factory. Absolutely. Absolute meme factory.
Ashtray, bitch. Yes, all of that.
The wigs in that.
Oh, wow.
I'll never be able to watch True Blood again and see the guy that played Eggs and not see him with that wig in my head. Like
oh gosh, what is, because he's on Law and Order now.
Yeah. And he was in Glory Road.
Yes, he was. I know you're talking about. And he was also on Supergirl.
Yeah, as Jimmy Olsen, yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, I would never not.
I'm blanking on it right now.
A mess. I can't remember his name, but I want to write it on because like one of the things I didn't like about Fall from Grace is this lady told you she called me and told me she killed her husband, and you put her on the stand as a witness for the defense. Well, she did call me and tell me she killed her husband. What the fuck? And then the lady tried to say objection. It's your witness. Why has Tyler never seen Law and Order? Anybody that's watched more than a season of Law and Order can write a better movie than that. Say what?
Makai Brooks.
That's his name.
Makai Brooks. Oh, okay.
So the funniest thing is his brother is on this thing called Double Toasted on YouTube where they review movies, and they had to review this movie. Absolutely hilarious.
Did he apologize first, or did he not pull any punches?
He held no punches.
Wow.
Hilarious.
Well,
Oh man,
I gotta get out of here because actually, I got company at my house that has been waiting on me to get off the phone or whatever, off the TV thing for a minute. But yeah. So in summary, for me,
Yes.
Book of Clarence, amazing, amazingly entertaining individual film. American fiction, great art house piece.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I can definitely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely
Like I could see people writing think pieces and lectures off of American fiction, but I can see Book of Clarence being that movie that let's get drunk and watch it again at Christmas every year. You know?
Yes, absolutely. And speak to that point, Joy, about the think pieces, I've already stumbled upon a number of excerpts on IG, bits and pieces of interviews of people talking about American fiction and in some ways comparing it to Bamboozled.
Oh yeah.
Which I need to go back and rewatch because I've only seen it once and I cannot tell you what happened in it because
Bamboozled was ahead.
Bamboozled was good. Yeah,
it was really good. Spike Lee joint, and it spoke about the same things. It hit it from the television version of it versus a book, but it's the same shit of we're gonna put some cool stuff out here. And what do you mean you liked it? Like it's the same. It's very similar. I think American fiction is better acted because we have more nuance in our characters now than we did 20 years ago. Yeah.
And that stupid accent that Damon Wayans uses in that movie was annoying. I had no idea.
Why? Why did he need that? He didn't need that. You
know? I know. I don't know.
It was a Tyler Perry wig and a voice.
Oh gosh.
Yes. And the way it was shot. The way it was shot was kind of cringy to me. But I felt like
he gonna do that stuff, you know?
Yeah. But I also felt like because I watched that movie right after I saw the Chappelle, like one of Dave Chappelle's interviews, why he turned down all that money. And I'm just like, makes sense.
It makes sense.
What they mean, yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
I was with Chappelle when he said that. He's like, they laughing at me and I can't have that. So I'm done.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. What do I need another 30 million for? I got 100.
Right. There you go.
I'm going to eat tomorrow. Who gives? Matter of fact, I do not want to get into talking about Chappelle, but I remember when he first started this series of Netflix specials. In his first drop, he said, "I'm rich, and I don't care what y'all think." Like he prepped us for the bullshit he's doing now. I think this has been one long art project for him.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it definitely has. Definitely has been.
I'm across the street when I see him because I don't want to be next to him and get it.
You don't want to catch a stray.
I don't catch a stray. And I don't want nobody to see me with him because I do diversity and inclusion for a living. I can't have that in my algorithm. Hell no.
Well, you can use him as an example of what not to do.
Not to do, right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right about that.
There you go.
Absolutely.
But I can't get caught in a picture with him. Now I'm not going out like Ellen when she got caught in a picture with who? Like Bush, and folks was like, "Oh, traitor!" Like it's a baseball game. Let her live her life. But anyway, I'm off topic, and so I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I'll let y'all close it out. I gotta run.
All right.
See you, Joy.
Bye, y'all.
All right. So with that, that was an amazing talk. Amazing talk about those two films. Absolutely, man.
Indeed, I enjoyed it. I don't know what's next though.
I don't know either, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Well, I do have an idea of what we're going to be talking about next month, considering episode 3 came out today.
Yes.
So I'm gonna just leave that as a hint, and if you can figure that out from watching this,
oh yeah.
Whoo! I was not ready for them to pretty much turn the heat up to 12.
Did you watch it?
Hell yes.
All right, I gotta watch it when I get off of here. I'm gonna watch it. I'm watching tonight.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, folks. And with that, next month.
All right. See y'all.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then. When they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. The work of all the locals. School never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii in a perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. The work of all the locals. School never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.